Jade and Tara worked as line cooks at a local elementary. They had been colleagues for more than 20 years, but in all this time, both grew specially envious of each other, craving to always outperform the other. So much so, they were known for their rivalry. For example, once both were engaged in a back-and-forth spat, trying to outserve other desserts to the students. Needless to say, this caused a commotion that almost led to them being fired. Another time, during a slow period, the cooks were preparing a cake for the birthday of one of the teachers. They had more than enough time to finish the trimmings on the cake, ahead of the students arriving to the cafeteria, and well in advance to the birthday teacher's return from the schoolyard. In the meantime, the school principal, Mrs. Unbert, sat with the children. Jade kneaded the dough and Tara prepared the filling, all the while whispering that she indeed cooked much better than a certain colleague. This caught the ear of Jade, who, offended, began to taunt Tara, saying that it's much easier to make the filling, and she could have done the job alone. To this, Tara responded in anger. "If you are so crafty, then do it by yourself, without me," before running out of the kitchen in tears. From there, Tara walked over to the room in which the children were listening to Mrs. Unbert read a fairy tale. Back in the kitchen, chaos erupted as Jade tried to knead the dough and finish preparing the filling. But as it turned out, making dough was not such an easy task. Besides, the woman did not have time to finish anything alone. Then, in sheer panic, she collapsed on the floor and let out a good cry. In the next room, Jade overheard the interaction between the school principal and the young students. Mrs. Unbert read aloud in a smooth, quiet voice. Once two hands, right and left, were cutting bread, when suddenly the left hand began to speak. That it was just as full master of the task as its neighbor. But the right hand didn't like that, and it shoved the left hand away from the task they were doing together, saying, "I am in charge here, and I don't need you at all." The left hand turned away resentfully, and the right hand began to try to cut out the bread, but without the support of its friend. As expected, nothing went according to plan, as the cutting board almost fell to the floor. The right hand became frustrated, and then, almost crying, pleaded, "Friend, dear, come back to me. I'm sorry for what I said. That I can do without you. I had no idea how important your role is in our common cause." And the left hand smiled sadly and also began to ask for forgiveness. "And can you forgive me? For I should not have said that I am the same as you. Your work is really more difficult." Mrs. Unbert concluded her story, and the cooks, hearing all this, began to cry, ran to each other to ask for forgiveness, and stopped in the kitchen doorway. Without further ado, they embraced and since then agreed to cook everything together, harmoniously, and amicably. That day, they still managed to bake a cake and wish the teacher who had come a happy birthday. And you, my friends, remember to do everything harmoniously and not to put yourself in charge of others, for that is the key to success.